I'ma go through just to grow through. But pay me what you owe me for, I make what you've been saying about me true. True. Tell them I need my money right now. Robbed me the juice, they stole out my crown. Sorry to tell you, I know my value. I'm gonna recoup.
He's a man, and he's taking it to the streets, just doing what he's able in the day to provide for his family and put food on the table. It's cold outside, but the package is hot. It's gotta make a pickup without no hiccups. Stay smooth and make it back to the spot.
I remember vividly.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Woo!
Hey, bro. Hey, man. Listen, let me tell you one thing I appreciate. This week went by faster than a mug, didn't it?
As hell. At one point, it felt like it slowed down for a minute. Like Wednesday, it was like, okay, we just gonna drag your ass out for a minute. But then it finally like, all right, cool, here we go.
Hey, man. It just, I feel like we just started Monday, which is great because today is Friday. It is May 21st, 2021. Thanks so much for joining us. It's Like It or Not, where we are free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. Good morning to everyone in all the chat rooms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all the places that you're streaming. If you're listening to the podcast, good morning to you. Be sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. That said, anyone who is on Twitch, we are still having some technical issues with Twitch getting the private link out to our subscribers, so we're trying to figure that out, but you can connect with our producer David in the back end. He will get you the link to the private stream for the after party. James, it has been a fast week, man. What you got planned for the weekend that you can share with the public?
You stupid. Man, let me see. Patron party tonight. That's the main thing, the big thing for the weekend. And then I have to DJ for a 70th birthday party. For 70th, nice. Yes, for our my clear brothers and sisters. So this is going to be fun. Yeah.
Is it in person or is it online?
It's in person. Yeah, it's in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
it ought to be fun. You know, I have fun when I party with my my Caucasian brothers and sisters. So I haven't turned up.
You know what? You got to get some video of it. Please get some video of Susan and Sharon, backing that thing up, man. Ask me if we can do a video, and we will share the video next week. So, all right. So anyway, there's a lot happening in the news. Rebecca's going to join us momentarily. It's a Friday show, so it's just Friday, man. We're going to relax and chill. Be sure, like James said, to come check out the patron party tonight. Patreon.com/like it or not. Or if you're a Benjamin Dixon Show patron, obviously you get access to all of that plus more. And if you're a Twitch subscriber, again, make sure you connect with our producer David in the chat, and he will be sure to get you all of the different information that you need to get to the party. And we are allowing all of our patrons and Twitch subscribers to bring a +1 or a +2. Bring a couple folks because the party is live. It's lit. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to start at 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to have an open Q&A where, I love that part of it because we get to hear from all of our patrons from around the country and, quite frankly, from around the world. That said, I want to begin with the ceasefire that is, I'm hesitant to really talk about it as a ceasefire because, we've been here before, but there has been an agreement between the Israeli government and Hamas to engage in a ceasefire. CNN is reporting on behind the scenes talk in a blunt conversation with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday. Biden, for the first time, set a deadline for the violence to ease. He had become increasingly impatient with Netanyahu, according to CNN, and adopted a more direct, frank, and candid tone in the call than any other previous conversation since the president took office. U.S. officials push hard to avoid the conflict stretching into next week. One official said Biden's strategy in dealing with Netanyahu could have shifted further if the violence did not extend, or rather if the violence did extend into another week. Biden made it clear to Netanyahu on the call that international pressure would increase if the military campaign continued. He also informed Netanyahu of the politics in the Democratic Party surrounding Israel. I want to play this first clip. This is from President Biden announcing that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told him that Israel has agreed to, quote, a mutual unconditional ceasefire to begin in less than 2 hours. Let's take a listen in.
Earlier today, I spoke with President al-Sisi of Egypt. Prime Minister Netanyahu informed me that Israel has agreed to a mutual unconditional ceasefire to begin in less than 2 hours. The Egyptians have now informed us that Hamas and the other groups in Gaza have also agreed. In my conversation with President Netanyahu, I commended him for the decision to bring the current hostilities to a close within less than 11 days. I also emphasized what I've said throughout this conflict. The United States fully supports Israel's right to defend itself against indiscriminate rocket attacks from Hamas and other Gaza-based terrorist groups that have taken the lives of innocent civilians in Israel.
Now, again, there is problematic language, but overall, there is hope that this ceasefire could bring an end to the military campaign that has claimed the lives of over 267 Palestinians, including many women and children. In this next clip, Biden says the following. He says, I believe the Palestinians and Israelis equally deserve to live safely and securely and enjoy equal measures of freedom, prosperity, and democracy. Let's take a listen in.
I also appreciate the contributions of other parties in the region who've been engaged in working toward the end of hostilities. These hostilities have resulted in the tragic deaths of so many civilians, including children. And I send my sincere condolences to all the families, Israeli and Palestinian, who have lost loved ones, and my hope for a full recovery for the wounded. The United States committed to working with the United Nations, and we remain committed to working with the United Nations and other international stakeholders to provide rapid humanitarian assistance and to marshal international support for the people of Gaza and the Gaza reconstruction efforts. We will do this in full partnership with the Palestinian Authority, not Hamas, the Authority, in a manner that does not permit Hamas to simply restock its military arsenal. I believe the Palestinians and Israelis equally deserve to live safely and securely and to enjoy equal measures of freedom, prosperity, and democracy. My administration will continue our quiet, relentless diplomacy toward that end. I believe we have a genuine opportunity to make progress, and I'm committed to working for it. And I want to thank you all, and may God bless you all, and pray that this continues. Thank you so much.
Mr. President Biden, are you confident the ceasefire will last, President Biden?
Now, one of the reasons I am very hesitant about even celebrating, and many people across the international community are hesitant about celebrating this as a ceasefire, is because we've seen this before. But also today, after prayers, Israeli police have stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, fired tear gas at Palestinians. And this was immediately after their Friday prayers. And so there are still questions as to how this ceasefire will hold up and the conditions that the Palestinians have been living under even before this military campaign that lasted almost 2 weeks. In addition, President Biden also pledged to, quote, replenish Israel's Iron Dome system to ensure its defenses and security in the future. Let's take a listen in.
The Prime Minister also shared with me his appreciation for the Iron Dome system, which our nations developed together and which has saved lives of countless Israeli citizens, both Arab and Jew. I assured him of my full support to replenish Israel's Iron Dome system to ensure its defenses and security in the future.
Now, the Iron Dome system is there for Israel's self-defense. The question is what type of self-defense do the Palestinian people have? And we saw this week they have none. In the category of a broken clock can be right twice, Geraldo Rivera of Fox News, he continued to call out Israel and demanded a ceasefire and tried to tell the truth on his station, and it started an all-out conflict. I want us to take a look at this clip. It's about 2 minutes long, but it's worthwhile seeing Geraldo Rivera actually be right on an issue and how it made Fox News melt down. Take a look.
You know, Sean, it is shocking and outrageous to me that in all the discussions of what's happening in Israel, the fact that Palestinians are being killed at the rate of 15 or 20 times the death toll among the Israelis, including children.
How about the terrorist organization Hamas stop firing those rockets from hospitals and schools and densely populated areas?
Dozens of Palestinian children
whose fault
dead
is that?
With
Whose fault is that?
ammunition provided to Israel by the United States without even a demand for a ceasefire. I demand a ceasefire.
Geraldo, you do this every time. This is such garbage, and I'm really getting sick of it. You play this emotional game with the audience and use your position of responsibility to put out misinformation and
stop
BS.
attacking
you did it
me,
on the
punk.
police thing.
Address the issue. Do you have the guts to address the issue and not address?
Of course, we care about Palestinian children. You know the way we save Palestinian children is we incentivize the terror group Hamas to not fire rockets indiscriminately into Israel, and it would stop immediately. Your debate you are so misinformed on this.
Who started this war? Who started firing the rockets?
This current chapter of this ongoing violence started when Israeli cops raided the Aqsa Mosque in the old city of Jerusalem.
Get out of here!
It is one of the most sacred.
Just lying.
It is one of the most sacred places.
You don't know what you're talking about.
It is one of the most sacred places in the. Listen to this guy. This guy doesn't. Have you ever been?
So Geraldo wasn't having it, James, and Rebecca, he wasn't having it. He said, "Oh, shut up, punk." But the thing about it, the thing that's frustrating about that clip is the same thing that's frustrating about the overall conversation, which is everyone who wants to oppose the Palestinian people, they conveniently start the narrative of when Hamas sent rockets into Israel. And Geraldo, which he did a great job of, but it couldn't stand on Fox News because we know what Fox News is. Geraldo properly pointed out that this all actually began with Israeli police storming and raiding the Al-Aqsa Mosque during the holiest time of the year for them, completely just disrespecting and attacking the mosque with no remorse, no concern whatsoever. And they would not even allow, there's video, we showed the video on the show of what they did that led up to all of the hostilities. And so what I hate about this entire situation is the same thing that we see here in the United States, is that the people in power, the people with the most power, they always start the conversation in the place of the conversation that makes them look innocent. Right? Everyone is starting this conversation with, oh, well, Hamas shouldn't have sent any rockets. Well, go back a few days before and see everything that the Israeli police did in those mosques. And they not only did it once, but they did it twice because they wanted to get the exact reaction that they got. Why? Because they wanted the confrontation. They being Benjamin Netanyahu, because he needed that confrontation. The Associated Press said on yesterday that this confrontation, this conflict, this 11-day war gave Benjamin Netanyahu a brand new life in his political career because he was unable to form a political coalition, a government coalition. He couldn't do it. And he's also under investigation. And so this all is connected with his political ambitions, and no one on Fox News except Geraldo Rivera is actually willing to say those things. Now, I got one more clip before we move forward. And this is Ted Cruz. And this is where he's talking about Joe Biden. And he's essentially saying that the reason Hamas even has rockets is because of Joe Biden, when in reality, all of our weapons are going to Israel. Take a listen in.
9 months ago, in the Middle East, we had peace flowering everywhere. We had the Abraham Accords. I was at the White House for the signing of the Abraham Accords. Incredible victories that President Trump had won by standing strongly and unequivocally with Israel. Joe Biden came in, and in just 4 months, he's frittered all of that away. He's undermined Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu. He sent over $100 million to the Palestinian Authority, with the PA, which is in bed with Hamas. Hamas, the terrorists that are firing those rockets you're showing right now, they fired over 4,000 rockets into Israel, and every one of those rockets might as well have Joe Biden's name written on the side of it, because it is his weakness, his appeasement, his moral relativism and ambiguity, his lack of backbone to stand up and stand with Israel that is causing this war in the Middle East. Let me tell you what, Sean, what he ought to do. He ought to stand up and say, rather than lecturing Netanyahu, rather than being arrogant and attacking our friends, he ought to say, America stands unequivocally with Israel. Period. The end. The Hamas terrorists need to stop right now. Israel has an absolute right to defend itself. If Hamas terrorists attack Israel, they will be dealt with and they will be killed. And he needs to right now replenish Israel's Iron Dome missiles. They are firing missiles to intercept these Hamas rockets. They fired thousands of Iron Dome missiles, but instead, Joe Biden is appeasing AOC and Tlaib and the radical left.
So this is the game. This is the game that conservatives have played, these evangelicals in the United States who, quite frankly, only support Israel because of their end time prophecy. Right. If you really unpack why these conservatives support Israel, it's not because they have any love or affection for the Jewish people whatsoever. Let's be clear about that. But this is the game. They have always tried to make this conversation about Hamas when, in fact, Benjamin Netanyahu is targeting civilian populations. It is so clear that on our interview yesterday, we saw as I was interviewing that student, Nora, a bomb went off in the middle of the interview. Right. And so what they do instead, what Fox News, conservatives, what they're doing in this country is they're trying to make every single Palestinian seem as though they are a terrorist. And I want to bring up this photo. This is a photo by Mohammed Salim of Reuters, and it shows a 6-year-old. Her name is Susie. She's being pulled alive from the rubble after 7 hours. 7 hours underneath the rubble after an Israeli airstrike that killed her mother and her 4 siblings. This story has repeated itself over and over again. And so in order to get away with this massacre, Benjamin Netanyahu has allies in the far right wing of this country, particularly the conservative movement, the Republican Party, people like Ted Cruz and Fox News. And what they're doing is that they are dehumanizing the children and the women who have been killed by Benjamin Netanyahu in order to make this a wagging the dog, belligerent kind of situation where it seems like Israel and the right wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu, they're completely innocent in this. And it's all the big bad Hamas. No, the people that were killed during these 11 days were women and children. And so anyway, there are 11 Israelis who are dead as compared to over 267 Palestinians, of which a great majority of them are women and children. I just want to make sure that we keep that in our minds as this quote unquote ceasefire takes place. But even as we are in this ceasefire, we see that the Israeli police have stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque yet again during their Friday prayers. All right. I want to shift gears a little bit. And good morning, Rebecca Azor is on the screen. James Bubba Williams. I know we've been covering this pretty heavy this week, but I have another clip that I want to play, and this is of Cori Bush. And there's a lot of people who want us to separate the fight for Black lives here in the United States from the fight for Palestinian lives. But if there's one thing that we understand very clearly here in this country, it is the police state and how the police state gets away with murder in this country. And in particular, we just passed yesterday the birthday of Michael Brown. And he was the young man who was killed by Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri. Ferguson, Missouri was a flashpoint. The murder of Michael Brown with his hands up was a flashpoint in the Black Lives Matter movement. And so it is fresh in our minds in terms of how we see the police state being brought down on marginalized communities, particularly Black people. Cori Bush had a lot to say about it. I want us to take a listen in as she gave this riveting speech commemorating and remembering Michael Brown on his 25th birthday.
Mr. Speaker, St. Louis and I rise today to wish a happy 25th birthday to Michael Brown Jr. The last birthday that Michael Brown celebrated was his 18th, a celebration that was supposed to mark the beginning of his journey of adulthood, filled with years of joy and making music, caring for animals, and spending time with those he loved. But just 81 days after his 18th birthday, Michael was shot and killed by a police officer in our district. While I say that St. Louis and I rise today, we have never taken a seat. We have never rested. We have never stopped striving for a just world, a world where Michael would have been celebrating his birthday on today. To Michael Brown Jr., we love you, we miss you, we will never forget you, and in your honor, we bring our struggle for justice from the front lines of Ferguson, is why I'm standing here, to the halls of Congress. Stand up, don't stand down. We do this for Mike Brown. Happy birthday.
I can't even believe it's been 7 years. Like 7 years since he was gunned down in Ferguson. And here we are. Shout out to Cori Bush for doing that. Because one of the biggest things that we see happening is the way they like to write history. Case in point, Darren Wilson, the cop that killed him, I think he got a deal for like a couple $100,000 to do an interview on ABC News. And he's sitting pretty. He's being celebrated still to this day by conservatives because they absolutely love a cop that kills a black person. And Michael Brown is dead and gone. And it's been 7 years and we're still fighting the same exact fights. And I mean, hell, we've been fighting those fights, Rebecca, since I remember the Rodney King beating on tape. And everyone thought because we had that on tape, something would change. And ain't nothing changed. Not in the 7 years since Michael Brown was killed, and not in the 20, 30, I don't even know, about 30 years since the Rodney King beating. It's just another day in America.
It really is, but I'm glad that at this point they're remembering Michael Brown, but it sucks that we have to celebrate his year of birth with him not being able to celebrate it himself. But he's just one person out of the many, and it's so sad. How many people do we have to constantly commemorate from the anniversary of their death, from their birthdays that they can't celebrate, thinking of where they would have gone to school, or about the kids that they never would meet for some. The weddings or the marriages that they couldn't experience, the terms, like the full-on marriage with their partners, all of this, and even the lives that are, being taken before the ceasefire. Like, it's just in our heads about, and you were saying that this is something that we can compare. People are losing their lives over what? Exactly, hate, particularly. And I don't, police officers here, police officers, people in authority will abuse it, take people's lives. I was just reading another story about somebody else, and I forgot where it was at, but how the particular police, it was in Louisiana, I believe. The police had hid the information for 2 years. I think since 2019. I forget the man's name, but he was
Ronald
shot.
Green.
Yes,
yeah,
Ronald Green, and he was shot down, or kicked and tased, all of the above. And they would not share. They wouldn't share that that video. So I know that we're going to talk about it later, but just listening and watching and seeing what's happening around the world, but America thinking that they're above a lot of what's happening around the world. But we have a war going on here that has been constant. I don't think any Black person or person of color knows a different kind of living. Unless they got an opportunity to fall on the right side of things and be the house person, or whatever the case may be. But I don't think any generation of people of color here know anything different, whether they've, are immigrants or whether, or they were, raised here. America is mostly what they know as their home. It's just like, it's just constant full-on hate. We don't know any other kind of life, but it's funny because America walks around, and in the conversation that you were playing from Fox News with Geraldo, just saying, acting like it's not that big of a deal. The whole conversations that are being said on these platforms, what's being said, Americans always looking at it from, this rose-colored glasses, and it's like, you guys are literally sometimes all the time, the reason why a lot of these people are at war, or you assist in the war happening in these other countries. So we are a war country, like we are. So we'll give to other countries ammunition, assistance in killing other people, because that's what we do. That's what we know. That's what we were created. That's how we were created. That's how we came together in America. So, yeah, it will kill for authority.
kill for land.
It doesn't matter who. Yeah, it doesn't matter who we kill. It doesn't matter who we kill. Wives and kids and just whole families. Saw this video. Entire families. You were saying you were doing an interview when a bombing happened and bombing occurred. It was just natural. It's normal. And then you have a family posting, I'm going to have my kids sleep with me in bed tonight so that they won't possibly survive to have to endure what happened to their family.
Yeah.
So it's, and some people were saying that was so selfish, but you have to understand in those situations, in those places, it's like they're thinking a whole different thing, like that we couldn't even fathom. So it's a lot. I think it's a lot for a lot of us mentally to even watch, be a part of. But for America to turn their noses up, meanwhile they giving other people ammunition and help, is ridiculous. And for us to be a country that has very similar issues, just presented in a different way. But yeah,
I didn't see anybody, but I'm sure. Yeah, I could see people on social media saying that was selfish of those parents. But you know what? You said exactly right. We don't even have the framing to understand what those families are going through when bombs are dropping on them, right? Like, so there is there are people. There's an article from Haaretz. It is an Israeli publication, and there's an article that went real viral maybe a year or two ago, and it said that the movement for Black lives is not the same as the fight for Palestinians. And the reason I bring that up in this context is because they're right only in this regard. Like, in terms of the police state, no, Black folks and the stuff that we see, like those cops who just stormed in that family's, those Israeli police who stormed into that man's family's home and beat him, like, that's the stuff that we understand. Here's how it's different. Black folks in this country, we ain't got to worry about bombs dropping on us. Right. We don't have to make that kind of calculation, Rebecca, that you mentioned, where the mothers, they all slept together so that nobody would have to live with the aftermath. Like, so the article tried to make it seem as though Black people in this country shouldn't stand in solidarity with Palestinians because our fights aren't the same. And you know what? Yeah. In the regard of bombs dropping, our fights are not the same. That's why we need to fight even harder, because there was another family, as you were talking about, it reminded me of this other family, this father and his brother. They exchanged children. They both had 4 kids each, and they sent 2 kids to one house, 2 kids to the other house, and so that there was a mixed family. And they said the reason they did this was because if one group was killed, at least the other one would have their family line continue. Mm-hmm. They had to make the calculation that I'm going to send 2 of my kids to live with my brother. And if I die, then at least 2 of my kids live. And if he dies, at least 2 of his kids live. So no, our fights are not exactly the same as the Palestinians, because not a Black person in this country in our lifetime had to make that calculation. Now, we had to make those calculations back in slavery, right? Because they were killing us, separating us, and all those types of things. But at the end of the day, we're talking about people with power who are able to use that power to keep their money, to keep their land, to keep their political power. I mean, we're not talking about actual self-defense in most of these cases. We're talking about political ambitions. But in the regards of Black life in this country, and you were mentioning Ronald Green, we have the clip, but I don't want to play it because it is way too much. The clip that you're talking about from the Louisiana State Troopers, they finally released it, and it is so painful to listen to, particularly because he's pleading with them and he's telling, he's calling them. He's like, you're my brother. You know what I mean? And he was trying to make them see the humanity in him, in Ronald Green, but they killed him anyways.
He apologized. He worked with them, and here goes those people who say he wasn't compliant. He wasn't, but it's, in those situations where we hear about these things, but this was, they put the officer, I believe, on leave for I think it was a certain odd amount of days, maybe 50. I don't recall. Don't quote me on that, but it was just not enough, right? They brought him back to work.
Oh, man.
They let it be, and they constantly, every time they were asked for the footage, they refused to give the footage because they had that right to refuse to give the footage from 2019 to just recently. And that's why the officers involved got away with.
I got to correct myself. Shout out to the chat room. I forgot about the move bombing in
Move
Philadelphia.
bombing, Philly,
the move
Tulsa,
that was in my lifetime. I was thinking, like, when I said in our lifetimes, I obviously what happened in Tulsa where they bombed, but the move bombing happened in our lifetimes. They have the bones of people who would be my age. They have the bones of people killed in the move bombing who would be my age right about now, maybe a little bit older than me, and they had them on display. Like, so that is a level. No, our fights are the same. Our fights are the same, and anybody who's trying to separate our fight and say that we should not be fighting on behalf of the Palestinian people because it's not the same. We know what this police state is. We know what being murdered by this system is. Go ahead, everybody.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, and that, so you Gus going back to that point. I was just watching and I hope this is the right, because there was so many bombings that maybe weren't in our lifetime, but we have somebody who was still living from a bombing that happened. I think it was the Tulsa or
3 of them.
Yeah.
There's 3 people still alive. 100,
She was
102,
speaking.
and 107.
Yeah. She was speaking recently. I believe it was in Congress or on the floor, and she was speaking.
107-year-old lady. Yep.
Yes, and she was speaking, and it was just hearing her talk. So you're right. Like, but nobody ever got.
I completely forgot.
They never got nothing, and she's still living. And imagine what she's going through in her life, or what she had to experience in her life, just with that whole thing. But that was an actual bombing. A whole community gone. Because of America. So, this is something that, like I said, we are like a war country, and they will bomb places and move on with their lives. And they bombed us because they bombed the community because they were black, a thriving black community. Make it make sense. So
they will bomb us. If look at what they do to us in the streets when we are just out there protesting, right? Like they would bomb us right now to today if we ever got into a real position that threatened their power at all whatsoever. And Rebecca, you keep saying it, and it is absolutely true. We are a belligerent, war-driven country because there's so many people who make billions of dollars a year off of war. That's why we're more than happy to sell. We got more guns and we have more planes and we have more bombs than we can even use. And so we sell it to other people to use on their populations. And here we are. I want to we're going to take a break. Before we go to a break, this is a clip from The Daily Show that actually I think it's interesting, and I'm hoping it can shift our energy because it's Friday, it's heavy, and it's going to be heavy again tomorrow. It's going to be heavy on Monday. So let's shift gears. Dwayne, if you have that clip, play this clip from The Daily Show from some years ago as they addressed the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
We'll start tonight in the Middle East, where Israel... What? Israel isn't supposed to defend itself?
Oh, yeah, if Mexico bombed Texas, will we exercise
restraint? What other countries held to the same standard as Israel?
People that want to destroy our territory?
What's the matter with you? It's the only democracy in the Middle East, you turd!
Self-hating Jew?
That was weird. Anyway, what I was saying was last Thursday saw the start of a new ground offensive launched by Israel.
Oh, the civilians!
Tradition!
Holy look, obviously there are many strong opinions on this issue, but just merely mentioning Israel or questioning in any way the effectiveness or humanity of Israel's policies is not the same thing as being pro-Hamas.
So you're against murdered children?
Free Gaza! Free Palestine!
Legal occupation! The Zionist pig!
You know what?
It's funny, you can't even speak against one side, that side being Israel, because they're gonna do exactly that. So
that's how my DMs were this week and last week. That's how my text messages were. I'm like, really? And that's why I'm speaking out as much as I am now, and I'm going to speak out even more, because y'all yell at me like that. That means, you know what? There's a problem. There's a problem when you can't even recognize the humanity of another group of people. So
yeah, and it doesn't matter, because we understand. It's not that you, and it's funny because it's not that you don't understand the plight of the people who are in Israel and what they gone through, but we're looking at what's happening. It's right in front of us, right? The numbers don't lie, and a lot of times they want to create these things and these numbers because of their partnership, because of America's partnership and alliance with a certain country. So when something is happening there, of course, in the media, they're always going to shine a light on the country they have alliance with, or the one that they're giving ammunition to do what needs to be done. And, or, even if that comes at the expense of children, families, whatever, they don't care. So anything that is spoken needs to be spoken rightfully so against or for the alliance, right? And this is why I always say, like, again and again and again, anytime you see a war happening, the winning side or the side that's, just less people are being killed there, they're possibly in some way, shape, or form being backed by the U.S. in some way, shape, or form, because they, We'll use our power to strengthen ourselves by empowering another country that may not have been empowered in some way, handing them ammunition. Look how much money we put into, behind a lot of these things. And I hate that it goes down like this. But even you, Ben, I've heard you speak about the issues that happen in Israel when they happen. So when people accuse you of being for one side, it's because they just want you. That's the American way of thinking, just to see it from this one place. But the thing about it is, we're going to speak about issues if there is an issue. Like, this is an issue. And if we don't speak about it as an issue, as it is, then we're going to be a part of the Geraldos or Riveras or whoever. I don't know, I never could get his name right. But we're going to be a part of that crew, having a platform.
Of all the names I can't pronounce, I can pronounce Geraldo, right? And all the names you know how to pronounce, because you have that internationalism in your accent and your language base, and that's just funny. Like, that's the only name I can pronounce.
If he white, I can't tell if it's the Geraldo.
I don't know.
I can't tell if it's Geraldo.
I don't know what it is. All I know that there was nothing in that safe. All I know is that there was nothing in that safe when he got embarrassed all them years ago. Anyway.
Never.
Oh, man.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He did that.
He was like, it was a whole, like, and there was, But no, shout out to Geraldo for actually being on the right side of this thing for the, and like I said, broken clock twice a week or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. But we see, that's the thing. He's yelling and he's screaming, and it sucks because we don't want to be that. You know what I mean? We want to make sure we're giving that light and that truth for what it is. We don't want to be the broken clock twice a day, because I'm always going to side-eye you. So people are side-eyeing you because you're speaking truth. But weren't you just supporting Israel? Yeah, I was supporting them about another issue. We're talking about the issue that's happening today. We got to make sure we keep it real.
Well, because people don't like people have their thing, and here's the thing. Next week, if I actually if I'm calling out anti-Semitism next week, there are going to be people who followed me this week who can be like, oh, Lord, and they're going to unfollow me and they're going to be mad. And just like, if I'm speaking out on behalf of the Jewish people, or whatever the case may be, wherever the truth is, there's going to be somebody on the opposite side of the truth. And the problem is for us, it's not a problem, it's a problem for them, is that we're going to tell the truth, and we're going to follow the truth wherever it goes. And that makes a lot of people upset, because they expect it, because we agree with them on subject A and B and C and D. They expect us to agree with them on everything. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. It's just as simple as that. We're going to follow the truth, whether they like it or not. Let's keep going. James, we lost. Oh, wait a minute. We lost James. Okay.
I was going to say, and it's funny because I was going to just, before we went to break, because I know that you had teased a break and we never went there. But I was going to say, hi, everybody. Good morning. I know it's starting out a little rough. I know that I didn't get a chance to say hello to you guys. But good morning to everyone, specifically Bubba. I didn't say hi to you. We have our moment in the morning. And
good morning.
He said he don't even know who you are no more.
He don't even know. I got a new hairdo, so I'm a new person. So yeah, I love your shirt. I absolutely love your shirt.
Made me want to go get my flower jacket.
Yeah,
my floral jacket.
And then you got the little crown on top of your head. Your head is freshly bald. It's giving shine. It's giving everything.
I looked at my head this morning, Rebecca. I looked at my head this morning. I said, you know what? I better shave it because Rebecca gonna be there.
Well, you know, I never see you. You never have been caught. So I remember when you had a little piece. I remember when you used to have hair, and then like here.
I was trying to do a little dye right there, and I just. I gave up on it.
You gave up on it. Yeah, but
I was gonna say before
your beard is looking super black. What happened?
Nothing. It's just you're probably black because I've got all this black around it. Like everything looks black right there. James, you know we're gonna keep going because it's already 9/11. Read those super chats for us, and then Dwayne, I want to go to D1.
Let's see here. We got. Star Center Janet Denton said, well done in exposing the hypocrisy of the GOP, who sent 150 stars. We appreciate you, Janet. And Tosh Strong, thank you for your super chat. YouTube on that bull. I have to type your name in every day to get your show. Typing Benjamin doesn't even get you in my top 20 recommendations. You're spreading much truth over here, brother. Bless y'all. And that was from Tosh Strong. We appreciate you, Ty. And let me see, Ken M, thank you for your super chat. And also Dimitri OG, no, my first name ain't baby, it's Janet, Miss Jackson if you're nasty. And then Teresa de Pinto Squardo, excuse me, I know I jacked that up, sent us 50 stars, we appreciate you. And lastly, no humanist, what about the side of continued human existence? How can be someone against children living in peace and safety? Hi there, beautiful people. We appreciate you know humanist.
That's my language.
Humanist.
That's my language right there. What about the side of continued human existence? That's like
they don't care about that. That's crazy.
That's the premise of the book I'm writing about the continued human existence and how all these dumbasses are out here who are in political power going to get us all killed. These fools going to get us killed, y'all. These dummies in Washington D.C. Both parties. People across this country, across the globe.
Nah, I'm a live and not die in Jesus.
No, I'm not talking. I'm not talking about.
I get it.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was gonna say I'm not talking about our generation, but hell, it could be our generation. The way they ignoring climate change, like it's like we got the dumbest people on the planet running the planet, and it's like the greediest people on the planet running the planet. Of course, it's gonna destroy us. I want to jump to the January 6th conversation again. Representative Carlos Jimenez on discussing January 6th. He said, quote, I don't think Trump incited the events that happened. I know for a fact that I saw people in my hotel room that were saying they were going to do something at 2:00 and that happened at 9:00 in the morning. Who was in his hotel room? The excuses, I'm going to play the clip so that you could get it in context, but the excuses are getting extremely pathetic as they're trying to protect Donald Trump and the Republican Party from the oncoming investigation. And I'm done this morning. The upcoming investigation into January 6th from the Bipartisan Commission. Let's take a look at this clip before I mess up any more words.
On that day, Congressman, you voted against certifying the results of the election in 2 states. Now, those two states would not have changed the ultimate outcome of the election. You have said Biden is the legitimate president of this country. Yes. But you know that 67% of people, according to the latest CBS poll of Republicans, do not believe Joe Biden is the legitimate winner of the 2020 election. Do you have any regrets about how your vote fed into what Trump was saying? He linked those things together, his lie, that could be contributing to Republicans refusing to accept a legitimate president.
Absolutely. I have no regrets of my votes on that day. I voted not to impeach the president because I didn't think he incited the events that happened. I know for a fact that I saw people in my hotel room that were saying they were going to do something at 2:00, and that happened at 9:00 in the morning. And I also know, and I still believe, that Arizona and Pennsylvania, the election laws were violated, and that the legislature, who is the rightful place where these laws are made, those laws were violated. And that's the reason why I voted not to certify Arizona and Pennsylvania, which
Rebecca, who was in this man's hotel room? Was he talking about 2:00 in the morning, 9:00 in the morning? But then you said it off air, like if he heard something about it, why didn't he do something about it? Like,
right. I don't understand people who really just,
They be telling on themselves for real.
They tell on themselves, but then no, but he lying though. Let's be honest. Let's call a thing, people. He is lying, okay? And this is my thing about it. Like when the supporters for Donald Trump, I don't know why we're still having this stupid. No, because the people are stupid. So the reason that they are defending him to this day about the terrorist attack that happened on January 6th is because they don't want the blood on their hands. They were assisting Donald Trump to incite what happened on that day. And, you know, it's so much easier to say, I saw somebody talking about doing something. They've been talking about it for months, for years. They've been talking about it since this man has been in office. If we look at his the rallies that were being held before that whole terrorist attack, it just gave culty. It gave KKK meetings. It gave like white supremacy meetings. It gave just, you know, skinheads meetup. It gave all of it Nazi vibes. Yes, it did. And a lot of people use their social media to discuss what they would do, what they plan on doing. They had pages and pages and of groups on Facebook who were finding ways to gather together to talk about what was happening. They were hiding in plain sight. So you were, and you know, a lot of the people that we know already were officials who had positions in Congress or, you know, in the Senate or anything. They had places and positions, you know, officers who were working together to make sure that the people were led into the space. So it's like, it was all your people. So,
and they don't want to be, they don't want any, you said it, they don't want to admit that they got blood on their hands. They're terrified of the fact that they know, and the Facebook groups that you're mentioning, it was in plain sight. The YouTube videos, in plain sight. What they were saying as Congress people was done in plain sight. And what Donald Trump was doing was in plain sight. And you know what? At this point, they're playing dumb because they've been able to get away with it. Take a look at this clip from the current leader of the Republican Party, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, as he just basically runs away from the question about how Republicans communicated with January 6th insurrectionists. Take a look.
Do you think it's a conflict of interest for members to be voting on a commission that they might have to potentially be witnesses for and provide information on?
No, because who knows what they're going to do on the commission. So, no, I don't think so.
Absolutely certain that none of your members were in any communication with any of the people who stormed Capitol Hill?
But thank you for the question. Everybody have a nice day.
I mean, they literally started walking off. They're like, nah, we ain't answering this one. But at the end of the
black
day,
man in the back? Because I'm always trying to know.
Some dummy.
Who is the black man in the back?
I didn't catch his face. Don't know his name. But you know what? I tell you who. If nobody else get blamed for it, they're gonna find some black folks to blame for. Remember that black guy? There was one black guy at the insurrection, and he was the only one to get arrested like that day. Like all them other people, they were able to go home. And then they got connected with their attorneys, or they got turned themselves in. They went through the whole process. The one black guy who was at the insurrectionist terrorist attack got arrested that day, just like this dummy who in the back. Oh, you know what? He might be security. He might be security.
Okay.
We got to be clear though, because you know we sneak up in there every now and then.
I don't like seeing the black man in the background because I'm like, what was he doing there? Is he a supporter? How was he looking at him? Why is he still standing there when all the white folks walked away? Why is he trying?
I was about to say, bro.
Here go us black folks
gonna get caught up.
Protecting trash. Just throw out the trash. We over here, we gotta work to feed the kids, and now we gotta. It's terrible. You know, I didn't see me on TV just walking this man away when I should be slapping him upside his head.
Damn, I forget. You made me forget just that.
Sorry, Ben. I apologize.
Can you imagine having to provide security for these assholes, being a black person, knowing all their racist whites? So like imagine having to provide, being a Secret Service agent for Donald Trump, a black Secret Service agent for Donald Trump, or even like Steve Scalise, the guy who got shot up on the baseball field. He survived, but it was he only survived because of a black woman.
Black women all the time. So
jumped in there and saved his ass.
There's a Secret Service. I believe she's a woman who used to work with the Obamas during their term. And she came out and she was saying that all of the disrespect that she witnessed and the racism that Michelle experienced while in office. And she's like, it was ridiculous. It was a lot. So I couldn't imagine some being black on the other side of it for somebody white. And then people just looking at you like, ain't that about a bit? Like this man over here protecting that white supremacist, even though it's his job, it sucks. But imagine on the other side of it, now you have a Secret Service who's there to protect you, but like people are just, they don't even treat you with no kind of respect. I bet you that man who just spoke, he gets all kinds of respect, like all kinds of, he doesn't have to worry about walking and being, terrorized.
Not at all. He's a white conservative man.
As the first lady, she did.
Yeah.
As the first lady, she did it, and they just, I'm pretty sure they gave it to her really, really hard.
We were about to snap on that fool. We thought he was.
Why is he there? Why is he standing? See,
why are you there?
I cannot take another black man just standing around
with
looking
these white
dumb
supremacists.
with these white folks. We done seen them. I'm tired. No, and then but he was there. But he looked like, damn, just come on, get off the mic. Hey, now the cameras is on me. Oh God, he made sure he had his shades on though.
Oh man, that's what. When I finally saw him, and I'm like, okay, he got his shades on, and he had a little pin. I said, okay, maybe security.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's take James. Give us about like a good 60-second break. When we come back, we're gonna talk. Yeah, we're gonna talk
about 2 minutes.
Yeah, we go or whatever. Or whatever.
Yeah, 6 seconds too short. What are you gonna do with that?
Oh, all right.
I'm just gonna read off the Patreon this time. That's it.
I was 1 minute, man.
See, Rebecca threw me on the bus, but I was trying to give us time for me to tell Rebecca about C1 and for her to do it.
That's
all right.
time.
That's what I'm gonna do. That's all I need. Just a little break. James, go ahead, take the people break. Take as long a break you want to. More like it or not after this.
Good morning again, everyone. And it's Truth the Dragon. I'm woke, sis. Is you woke? Good morning again, y'all. Make sure that you follow us on Like It or Not Show. Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook so you know when Like It or Not is going down. And also, if you want to join the Patreon, you can. Patreon.com/Like It or Not. Patreon.com/Like It or Not. Good morning, mom and daddy. Good morning, sensation, wherever you are. So let's get these patrons read off today for the yesterday. Let's see. We have Ruthless Dragon. Shout out Ruthless Dragon for joining. Evelino G. We have Leslie K. Ruthless Dragon, who also signed up for both Patreons. We appreciate you, Ruthless Dragon. Marsha J. WW1. Our new Twitch subscribers. We have Rewardian. We have Terrasats, who subscribed with Prime. We have Trucker Queen, who subscribed with Prime. We have Green Man 137, who subscribed with Prime. We have Riches 558, who subscribed for 3 months in advance. We appreciate you for that. And Mimosa Dragon cheered 500 bits. Hey man, we appreciate y'all, and you too can become a member of Patreon. I'm so the member of Patreon. Yes, you can. You too can be a member of Like It or Not family. Join the Like It or Not family, y'all, by going to patreon.com/Like It or Not. Patreon.com/Like It or Not. Let's get into some music.
I think you only love me cause I'm poppin'. This a layup, this a rebound, then it's driving. Tasting with the fade, not the hair, my hands rocking. When I link with ballpoint, you know it's knocking. I'm not the same. Thinking money made me change, nothing else to blame. Bougie stuck up in my way, singing Gucci gang. Gucci gang, think I'm Gucci Mane.
Shout out to everybody in our chat rooms, y'all. We greatly appreciate y'all for being here. Shout out Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you following from, y'all. We appreciate y'all so much, man. Hey, make sure that you are ready for tonight because it is going to go down. Patreon party, make sure we trying to crash Zoom tonight, y'all. So make sure that you have your face in the place.
Wifey on my line, she told me to dumb it down. Mama on my line, asking how I'm dumbing now. I think you only love me cause I'm poppin'. This a layup, this a rebound, then it's right, man.
Chuck D-So. Yeah, who is this Paul guy? This Paul person keeps popping up in chat and saying some off the wall stuff. Interesting. All right, here we go, y'all. Back to Rebecca and Ben.
Hey. See, I was laying back, bopping to the music.
Say my name first, Rebecca and Ben. Like, you know, I absolutely love that. You know, like it or not, with Rebecca. I like it. But
funny.
But let me plug in while I'm talking my stuff. My charger.
Your stuff go off in the middle of the show.
So give me a second.
What are you plugging in? Your camera or your?
Oh wow!
The entire, like the whole screen. Okay.
So, anywho, there's a lot that's going on in the world. I know that I used to live on the wrong. I lived on the right side of the train tracks when I lived in Tallahassee, Florida, and the wrong side was where FSU was. I'm just kidding. But
the right side was FAMU side.
The right side was FAMU side. But we're going to talk about the wrong side of the road, Karen. So I never knew there was an official definition of a Karen. Karen even has a Wikipedia entry. It reads, Karen is a pejorative term for a woman seeming to be entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is normal. The term also refers to memes depicting white women, clear women, who use their privilege to demand their own way. Depictions also may include demanding to speak to the manager. Like, can I speak to your manager? I want to speak to your manager. Where is the manager? Who is the manager? Right? Being racist or sporting a particular bob cut hairstyle. Sometimes it's hitting the ear. Sometimes it's hitting right below the jawline. And sometimes it's even just a nice cut, a little slick back that folds right under in the back. So The Guardian called 2020 the year of Karen. There's also a history of how there has always been a way to describe what we now refer to as Karens, again, from the ever trustworthy Wikipedia, saying, quote, in African-American culture, there is a long history of calling a meddlesome white woman by a certain name. In the antebellum era, I know this. She was referred to as Miss Ann. All right, back in the day, Miss Ann. Okay, Karen. In the early 1990s, Becky was used. My nickname is Becky, but I don't associate myself with that. As late as 2018, before the use of Karen caught on, alliterative names matching particular incidents were used, such as Barbecue Becky, Corner Store Caroline, and Permit Patty. I recall.
I remember Barbecue Becky.
We had something going there. We had Permit Patty, we had Barbecue Becky, and Cornerstone Caroline. Pictures of Kate Gosselin.
My God, Becky.
So, yes, pictures of Kate Gosselin are perfect. The bob, the shortcut that I was telling you that may fold under at times. So pictures of Kate Gosselin are often used to depict the type of Karen. She couldn't be reached for comment to how she feels about this. But hey, it's on Wikipedia. So sue them, not us here, like it or not. Listen, that's what the world did that, not us. Okay. So you go on in the world, go on, online and get them about that. But here's our Karen entry of the day. I think we should do that every day. This one is a Karen grandmother who got so mad that a man's truck was on the wrong side of the road. As he was backing out of his parking space, this particular Karen thought she had the right to open his truck door, berate him, disrespect him, and then slam her hand on the hood of his truck, because she's the boss. Let's take a look.
You know that you're on the wrong side.
Get out of my car.
You're on the wrong side of the road.
Okay, you're being filmed.
Do you know that you're on the wrong... You think you're on the wrong side of the road. You're on the wrong side of the road. This is not Europe. You drive on the right side.
Get out of my face, please.
The cops are coming.
Great, get out of my face.
You're on the wrong side of the road. Do you know that you're on the wrong side of the road? Do you know that you're on the wrong side of the road?
Please back away from my car.
Why are you on this side of the road?
Can you please back away from my car?
Why are you on this side of the road?
I was backing out.
You're going to get a ticket.
Okay,
for driving on the wrong
great.
side
I was
of the road.
backing out of this space.
You're on the wrong side of the road.
How do you want?
You're on the wrong side of the road.
Okay.
You cannot drive on this side of the road.
Okay.
Why are you laughing?
Don't touch my.
Why are you laughing?
Then he got good. He can't even hear.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh no, she didn't slam hands. She took her fists. You know when you ball up your fist, that means you want something. Okay, so that means you want you saying something. That means you trying to get that head up phase. Like, what's up? You know. See now, if it were my car, if it were my V, did you see? And then usually yesterday I was walking. What's funny, Ben? Seeing the Karen in all of her glory. The nice bob. She had the side bang, very thin. It's very thin because all of the hate has, it just gives them one strand of hair. One strand. So it's just very thin. And then, they have like a white t-shirt, cargo pants. They're usually wearing those type of colors these seasons. And, they have glasses, a bit orangey, palish, orangey, because they go get tan at the tanning booths. But I was walking through my local Target as the only African-American girl around that particular time in the Target. And I got close to a woman standing because she wasn't moving. And I just looked at her. I'm like, can she get over? Because she literally is trying to own this whole section. And all I'm trying to do is get the floss for my braces and move on. Like, why is she just standing here? Like, she opens her legs, like, kind of standing in a way where she doesn't want me to come in her space. So I stood in the area for a little bit and I just, whatever. But then there was a point I'm like, excuse me. And I reached up over her like she had the germs, like, excuse me. And I got what I needed to get. And I was like, ma'am, you could move along. You could move over. And she tried to Karen me, but when she started talking, I just walked away like, bitch, don't talk to me. Sorry. That's kind of what I did. But like, when I looked at her outfit while I was standing there waiting for her, and I'm like, in my head, why do they dress like this? Like, why is it that they all come in this particular uniformed? Like, do they all have like a meeting to say, let's wear like this outfit today. Let's wear the little wedges, the wedges that give us a little pep in our step, but that show us that we are still sassy soccer moms, you know what I mean? And that we're going to get ready to disrespect whoever we feel like in this store today because we're the best of the best. I don't know why they walk around. They got confidence.
They feel like they own the world.
They got a level. And I told you with them, if they were to call the police, she would have cried or said that she felt that because
her life was threatened
on the wrong side of the road because he was parking on the wrong side of the road, that it made her feel unsafe. It made her feel like she could not walk past and still have a life.
You know what's crazy though? I think everybody has a story about, because before they even recall Karens, I had somebody pull up. This is how long ago it was. I was dropping my little brother off to middle school, right? This is back when I was like in college. And this one chick just came up to my car banging on my window because I went around the line to get out the line. I got my brother. I'm getting out the line. I'm not gonna sit in this line for the rest of the. I got who I came for. You expect me to sit behind everybody else after I got who I came for? And she came in, and I can't say on air what I said to her, but I said, you better leave before I catch charge. Anyway, she did leave, and I had to put a little fear in her because she really thought she had a right to come and bang on my window. I'm sorry. My car is my personal space. Yes. Not to mention the fact that I'm paying bills on it. But you come banging on my property and in my personal space, she better be lucky she was dealing with, in that video we just watched, she was dealing with a really nice person. Because that woman opened up his car. She opened up his car door and then banged on the hood like she wanted to smoke.
Oh no! See, I'm bringing her in my car. I'm closing my car door.
You wanted to get in?
I'm putting down the window and I'm grabbing that one strand of hair she got. I'm pulling her right in. I'm gonna pull her right into my vehicle, and I'm gonna ask her to park my car for me. I'm gonna put her head right into the steering wheel, and I'm gonna say, "Bitch, park my car for me. Park it for me." Park it for me.
Hilarious.
Oh man.
But I digress. I'm not that angry in life. But if you try it with me, I'll show you a little bit of something, about where I'm from. And I'm Haitian. I don't do white folks. I don't do white people. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. But I am. But I remember we were at and this is another story, infinite content. I remember we were at the Ulta. I was getting some makeup. And
you done ran into a lot of Karens, huh?
Yeah, my little brother, Karens don't like me. They just don't like to see me, or they'll stare at me.
They don't want
it's
to see
crazy.
you happy, huh?
Yeah, they'll stare at me in my face, and I think it's because to them I look pretty exotic to them, so they'll stare at me in my face. And you know what I do when they're staring at me? I'll just get on the phone and I'll start speaking another language. They are just like, what the hell is this? Why is it around me? But no, my brother, he stayed in my car. I went inside to grab some makeup. I'm at the Ulta. Came out. It was a quick just jump out, jump in. So I came out to my car, and this lady is just walking away from my car. So I come around and say, what just happened? My little brother's like, yo, she just tried to open the car door, looked at me, and screamed and told me to get the hell out of her car, and started screaming like I hurt her. So I locked the car and I was looking at her from the window. I'm like, what is going on? And she told me, and she kept yelling, get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. Then and my little brother locked the door and was just staring at her like, this is not your car. She kept yelling, oh my God, it's a thief in my car, like stuff like that. Then when she realized it wasn't her car, she walked over to her car. She had the same Jeep as me. She walked over to her car, got in it. And when I got to the car, I'm like, what's going on, Joyce? He's like, yo, that woman just try to get me in trouble. I said, what did she do? What did she do? So me, I was putting on the seatbelt, but I started to take it off. What did she do? So I'm like, tell me what's up so I can pull up on her, because I don't understand. And then he's like, no, we're not going to do that, because you know what's going to happen. She's going to say something else. So then I drove up beside her, looked at her. My sister does this all the time. And I told her to stop doing this to people, but I did this. I drove up beside her, looked at her in her face, and she was just freshening up her hair.
Like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. Wow.
And I pulled and I looked at that bitch, and I looked at him, and I was like, I did this because she wasn't going to put out her window, but I just... And then I drove off. My little brother's like, Rebecca, back.
Oh, man.
Back. But I need her to know, girl, you better be lucky it wasn't me. You better be lucky, because my brother could have gotten in big trouble. Say it was like a police officer out there or something, and she really didn't know where her car was. He would have, God forbid something happened to my brother, I would scorch this damn earth. I swear to God.
That's the crazy thing. Because like we joking about him, right? But how many folks how many black people? Emmett Till. How many black people done got killed because they want to go call the police or whatever the case. George Stinney, right? Accused of killing 2 little girls and 14-year-old, get the electric chair. Like there's a lot of people who actually harmed by this privilege of Karens who feel like they can just go and dictate to the world because, I don't know, I guess they can get away with it in their house. I don't know what the hell is behind their thinking, but they're going to pull up on the right one of these days, because you cannot expect that you have the right. There's no part of me that feels like I have the right to get in somebody's face and not expect every bit of confrontation that comes after it. And then they get surprised when somebody smack them. Oh my God, he hit me. And they fall out on the ground. Nah, you ran up in this man's truck, opened up that man's truck door. And the only reason you ain't get smacked is because he was recording, and he didn't want to get himself on tape committing the crime.
Yeah.
But they're going to run up on the right
funny?
One.
It's it's funny, because we always say, it's funny, because I need to interject. These Karens have been calling black women Shaquitas and Shanikas for a long time. Like that's what they do. And they always would say that for years, because they stereotyped us. And it's so funny, because they put us in like I said, they put us in these boxes and of their small minds, and they would never leave the parameters of their small minds. So they put us all into a box and called us Shaniquas and Shaquitas and Shanikas, and how they used to do us all the time. But a Karen is a real thing,
It's got its own Wikipedia page.
I did not. And Miss Ann, or before, and anytime we say the white lady. You knew what we were talking about. You knew who we were talking about. We knew how we were talking about this thing. Y'all knew we were talking about a Karen before we knew what a Karen was. I absolutely wish we can go back to being like Barbecue Becky because it was very clever. Corner store, Caroline, because it was very clever. Like, the petty patty. Yeah. I think that honestly, it's funny. It is, but those people are powerful. They are just as, like I said, just like them white men that we see that can just talk over everybody. That's all they need. And that's all they need. But these white women, and not all white women, but those particular types, those Karens of the world, and those ones that can activate their Karen at any time. When you're white, you got a little bit of something in you, and you can activate it, and you can use it, and that's what we call privilege. And some of people don't recognize their privilege, and some of them recognize their privilege and automatically use it for bad. Use it for bad. So,
oh my God. There's an article by Helen Lewis in The Atlantic, and she describes the use of the word Karen as misogynistic. And she says that it's sexist and it's ageist and it seeks to control female behavior. Nah, Karen, nah. I'm sorry. You're not going to identity your way out of this one.
They all do that. They'll use the feminist approach, the feminist approach, which is led by Karens. Like, don't shoot the messenger. Like, I just need y'all to understand the feminist situation. Feminism literally does not always include black women. I would say people of color, but it'll choose what they like. They'll choose a certain type of look when it's people of color, and they'll include them into the feminist situation. That's why I always call myself a womanist, because I feel like that more is in tune with me being a woman, and black folks more have an opportunity to speak up in that arena, because feminism literally is something that is created to protect white women and the suffrage that they go through and things like that. But it ain't for black women. Okay. So Karens, definitely Karens have been at the forefront of a lot of movement.
Who is Kate Gosselin anyway?
Kate Gosselin from Kate Plus 8.
Yeah, Kate plus
I don't know.
Yeah.
Pull
up
them
kids.
And
the sandals.
Pull her up one more time. I've never even heard it. I never even heard that show.
Her husband cheated on her. Her husband actually gives me George Zimmerman vibe.
Yeah, he does look like him.
Yeah.
I wonder how she feels about her being like the archetype.
That's the Bob I'm talking about. That is like the 27 piece for white women. And then when I say 27 piece, because that's the black ladies used to get the little bob and the piece on the side. She got the 27 piece for white women, but hers got a little flair to it. This is you got to go get you got to get another. She's got
I dated a black man before.
Yes, she does. And her man was I think it was some Asian. He's Asian or something, some type of Asian. But he.
Wow, that's dope. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the message that we just got about tonight's patron party. Somebody's going to be at a rally for Palestine, so they're going to join us tonight. At the patron party.
That'll be great. Yeah.
Hey, we only have about 45 minutes left, so we've been going over, and we wanted you guys to get a little bit more this morning, but I wanted to go to the after party. What y'all think?
Let's go to the after. Let's take it to the after party. I'm glad that I got a chance to enjoy you guys at this, at the regular show today. I made sure right after I got off that one last call. Okay, I was already getting ready this morning, talking to my best friend who was motivating me for work, everything. Right after that, I was like, I'm making it. I'm going to make it early. So I'm here.
Lateef Min said that that's a comb over mullet. I'm done. All right, let's go to
it. You didn't see that? It was giving. It was giving right here.
Our audience is so cruel. Y'all are so, and I love every bit of it. So let's, that's all I got. After party, James.
Let's get it.
Hey.
Shout out to everybody that sent those super chats in. Capital Mind Record says Karens love them some gluten-free mayonnaise spread. You damn right they do. Then we have Laura Estrada and To Kill a Mockingbird. They believe the white women. Yes, they did. And actually, To Kill a Mockingbird for some reason is one of my favorite movies. I don't know. Just me. Anyway, y'all, we thank y'all so much for tuning in this week. Make sure that you subscribe. Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook. Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook. And also, if you want to become a Patreon, you can. Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. Access to exclusive content, all of the patron parties that we have, and those non-parties that are just patron experiences just for you. So make sure that you join today, y'all. Let's get it. Like it or not. Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. See y'all next week. Let's get to the after party.
Give me your love, no holding back, no. We could take it to the stars, where you wanna go. The things that we can